I did.
Who are you?
Come on.
Jerry Minchon. Danny Rio. Bob Sage.
Steve Cudney.
Robert Viscardi. Pat Bruno.
Alan Bruno.
Angelo Balistrieri.
Barry Whistler.
Paul Bell.
Victor Zaleski.
Louisa LeBay.
Everybody? Brian, introduce yourself.
Brian Matthews. 802907 route number.
I think that's everybody, right? Okay. So, just open it up for thoughts, feedback, questions, concerns?
Yeah, concerns, I guess, this is going to turn into a pay cut line.
It's going to turn into a pay
Pay
cut.
cut, yeah, with the percent.
So when you look at the overall margin calculation and how it was all formulated, I think if you look at the whole picture between consignment inventory and promo share going away, there's a significant cost that comes with that. And I think the company's absorbing a lot of that, but we are sharing some of that cost.
Consignment inventory, what happens if you don't even want it? Doesn't know, because, they don't know, me.
Yeah, we're going to
Or a lot of
consign,
guys.
as an organization, we're going to consign inventory. I think the feedback overall as we were going around was predominantly in favor of consignment.
I see the rates are different numbers, some people 15, 15.5, 16.
Yep.
What's the difference?
There's different starting points based on, again, there was a huge variation when you looked across SL distributors in terms of what made up their overall margin. So based on that, you had a starting point, and then you had promo share variances in between that, and that ultimately rolls up to...
Yeah, in a nutshell, it depends on your mix of products. So it depends on the mix of private label, it depends on the mix of partner brands, it depends on the mix of branded products and the promo rates within those branded products. So everybody's route's different as far as the mix.
Okay, let me ask you this. The more promo you do, the lower your rate is?
Yeah, because there's more
So,
promo share.
so as a salesman, the more I sell and push, I get a lower rate.
On promo, just like it would be for an organization, just like it would be for us.
What's the point of me pushing then?
So equity for one, right?
Equity could be for some of these guys 20, 30 years and whatever.
It could be in a year. So at the end of the day, that's the reason why. So it's no different than if we say, hey, listen, we want to promote on Cape Cod, like hot retails, whatever it may be. Our margins automatically drop to bare bones. So when that happens, yeah, we're going to drive it so that we drive brand strength, so that we drive equity, just like you're driving equity. Those are the things that happen when we drive that. So what this does, though, right? So when we go back now and we streamline it to one set promo rate, it won't drop again. So if we ran Cape Cod as an example at 2 for $5 this year, and we ran it across the board in all of your accounts, right? And you shared in that promo rate. If we go to 2 for $3 next year, I'm just using that as an example. If we run it at 2 for $3 and the promo rates go significantly higher and the trade rates are significantly higher, you don't share in any of that. Now you stay exactly where you are. So the biggest, to explain this in a nutshell, the biggest change, right, is that everything in the past has been based on you had a gross margin, okay? So that margin didn't, when you're talking about what your margin was, it didn't factor in trade rate, it didn't factor in all the things that happen with partner brands, it didn't factor in if you had an outlet store private label and you're making 10%, it didn't factor in any of those things, right? So that's your gross margin off of net sales. And when I say net sales, that's coming off of that bucket of sales after all of those costs were already taken out. Now, you're going to be net margin, okay, after all that's taken out, and you're going to be off of gross sales. So as an example, what I mean by that is that if it's a Snyder's of Hanover bag that's $266 full price, and we'll call it SDV store door value, which is really IDP gross margin, okay, so if it's $266 and that's that full margin price going into the stores, regardless of whether we promote that at $1.50 or $1.12 or whatever it may be, your margin that new net margin is calculated off of 266, always, regardless of the promotion. So you no longer have to worry about, oh my gosh, they're running it at $2 for $4, I'm not making any money on this. No, your blended net margin now is off of that full price.
So you're
regardless.
saying everything, your 15, say 0.5.
Yes.
It's on full cost on everything,
That's correct.
no sale price.
That's correct. Bingo. So the difference is, this is the difference, right? So a lot of people looked at, hey, listen, this was my gross margin. Now they're saying this is my blended net margin. Now the difference is that that blended net margin is off of gross sales, not off of net sales. So not retail, but gross sales. What your selling price would be if it wasn't on promotion, on everything.
So now there's no risk from that perspective. You grow top line, you could push the hell out of the product, right? That margin's gonna apply to every case that goes out
Right.
the door regardless of price.
And that's something different that we did not, so we
Yes.
gotta look
And
at that.
then you consider your, I'm sorry, you consider your route equity too, that
Well,
the average will be based on.
This is a little common at 50, when people hear 15.5.
Here's what I'm gonna
I
tell
was
you.
gonna get 30 to 1.
That's
what
one.
we could
But
get.
here's what I'm gonna tell you, is that there's a lot of different changes, right? So when you think about gross margin to net margin to gross sales, where it was net sales, all those things. What I'm gonna tell you is, go out and run your route for 4 or 6 weeks. Look at your penny profit, and then come back and let's have a conversation. I think you're gonna be pleasantly surprised. So that's what I'll tell you. Now let's talk about the consignment piece in the bridge, right? So if we think about consignment, we're headed to full consignment inventory, which won't happen until we can move to, and just being transparent, to SAP, which is a new system. We don't have the data system right now to be able to do it, and that's why.
I'm talking about a BIN program,
What's that?
a BIN program.
What do you mean a BIN program?
I've been.
SAP is our internal.
Yes, no, that's a
Are we
data.
looking to go into
It's a
BIN?
soft, that's basically our data system. It's our
Yeah, but
software.
it's just a
So
question.
you're asking separately, like.
Yeah, are we looking to going into bins? A bin program?
We're doing it in some areas of the country. We're not looking, and there's nothing set for here as we're talking about in this area right now. So there'll be some of those, yeah, across the country.
Yeah, full transparency, I think our supply chain team has been looking at optimizations, but we talked about this the last time we were here. I mean, this area here has not been impacted.
Right. Now, this whole rate goes across the whole United States, is everybody around the same rate?
It varies based on what the mix was. Yep, and
Is
so.
the mix, say North Carolina, what's the mix around there? Just curious.
I don't know, because I don't have that's not part of my region.
All right.
So, but if that,
Because I'm looking, I'm at Taylor Road, I'm almost done, but these young guys, they bought their routes, 30 to 1. They got loans, 900, 800, 700.
Yeah.
They can't afford a cut in their pay.
Yeah, the expectation is, here's my expectation, the expectation is that, again, you're talking about gross margin and net margin on gross sales, right?
Right.
The expectation is go run the route for 6, 8 weeks, come back. The expectation is that you shouldn't have to worry about any longer what you're driving. If you're driving promotional product, if you're
Right.
driving private label or anything else, go drive it,
Right.
okay? And then on top of that, and my expectation is from a penny profit standpoint, you're gonna be north of where you were. Then on top of that, okay, let's talk about the inventory deferment. So I said we're gonna go to consignment inventory when we switch to SAP, which will be next summer sometime. When we switch to that and we're able to go to full consignment inventory, that's gonna be a huge positive, because at that point, we own, and does everybody in the room understand full consignment?
No.
Okay, good, let's talk about that. So at the end of the day, right now, you come into the warehouse, you place an order, or you pick up an order, right, and you're paying for that inventory when you buy it immediately, right? Then you have to go sell it, and really before the settlement, you want to make sure your truck is pretty much empty, because you own that dollar amount, you want to max out your settlement, right? What's gonna happen is when you go to full consignment, we're gonna own that inventory. You can come in here and you can pick up $15,000 worth of product, you're gonna get a statement for it, it's gonna roll into your truck. At the end of the day, we're gonna own that inventory until you sell it through the handle. I don't care if you carry $10,000 worth of inventory on your truck, day in and day out, you don't pay for it until it goes through your handle. That's gonna happen next summer, so that's a big positive. So when Justin talks about the costs and I'm gonna just tell you, it's north of $10, $20 million. We don't know exactly what it's gonna be. It's a big, big investment, because now we're gonna extend that inventory. You don't have to put those dollars out of pocket. Wherever you have from an inventory standpoint on your truck, when we go to that point, we're gonna do an inventory. We will basically credit you and give you a check for that amount. That'll be cash flow for you, okay, at that point. In the interim, we can't do that until, again, we go to SAP. We're doing the deferment program, which everybody's received, basically, they've received a document for the deferment program. And everybody's changed, everybody's varies, and what that's based on is based on whatever your average purchase is each time you visit a warehouse and you purchase. So that's what it's based on. So some are $1,000, some are $2,000, some are $10,000. It's all over the place. But what I'll tell you is that is just basically a credit for you to be able to carry that inventory on our dime. So basically, if we're giving you, as an example, $2,000 or $3,000, come September 8th, September 9th, at that point, you're going to get a credit on your statement for, I'll just say it's $3,000, okay? You're going to get a credit on your statement. The expectation is you're going to take those dollars and purchase inventory with that and be able to carry that inventory. Now, that's your one-time purchase that you normally would make. So if you shop 3 times a week, you might have a $9,000 route, you might be turning it 3 times. That's going to be your one-time. So if you carry that $3,000, you can continue to roll that credit and it's no additional money out of your pocket. If you drive that up to $4,000 or $5,000 a purchase because you continue to grow your route, okay, we're going to evaluate that at the end of each quarter. So every 3 months, we're going to evaluate it. If you drove that up an additional, say, $2,000 per purchase, then we may give you another credit of another $2,000 to get you to $5,000. What that does is it's going to allow you to take that inventory on our credit and continue to roll that, time over time, every time you come into purchase. So no additional dollars out of your pocket. As long as we get to the end of the year, when we roll into SAP and full consignment, at that point, we're going to take a look at your inventory. As long as you've carried that inventory all the way through, you haven't cashed out, right? So if you take that $3,000 credit and cash it out and don't put it in inventory, at that point you would owe it back. If you carry that product or that credit in inventory all the way to the end of the year, at that point that'll be included in your year-end inventory when we roll this consignment. No harm, no foul. You owe us nothing, and you're back to square one. You get a credit for anything additional above and beyond that from an inventory standpoint when we roll a consignment. So all it is basically we're just floating you inventory so that you don't have to put it out of pocket.
I have a question. Does it reset if you have an empty truck for the next week? Like that number will reset the following week, correct?
Yeah. So what I would tell you is it's just like right now. If you go out right now, let's just say you have $2,000 worth of inventory in your truck, and you go and we come to September 8th, September 9th. You're going to get that credit. And I don't know what your specific is, okay? But I'll just say it's $2,000. You already have $2,000 inventory. You can now take that $2,000 and go buy $2,000 of inventory. Now you're carrying $4,000 worth of inventory, but only $2,000 of that came out of your pocket. Got it? You follow me?
Yeah.
And you continue to roll that.
We don't have to take it, right?
You don't have to, but I'm going to tell you, I can't understand, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't want to.
I'll tell you.
All it's going to do, you're basically taking $2,000 of dollars you would put in the inventory out of your pocket, and you're taking it from us instead, and you're just going to roll it. So we're basically floating you that dollar amount so that you can just roll that inventory, and that becomes free cash flow for you to, and listen, the best opportunity for you is to say, listen, now I'm going to drive higher inventory because now I'm running my route down to 0 every week before settlement. Now I'm going to take those dollars, I'm going to carry some inventory on my truck so that I never run out of product. I can maximize sales in my stores, I can drive equity, I can do all of those things. Your penny profit should go straight up.
All I gotta say about that, that's true in theory, but there's like 20 of us that drive an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to get here. We can get to Pennsylvania in 25 minutes, but we get to our route in an hour.
Okay.
That's even more of a reason.
Yeah,
to
I'm
take
here
that
twice a
inventory.
week. I have no room on my truck to put any extra product. My truck's full.
Okay.
Because I come up here twice. I don't want to come up here a third time because it's 2 hours and then spending the time in the warehouse. How many, that takes away from my route.
Yep.
And there's a lot of us. I mean, most people have
So
a
you
depot up here.
feel like every
There should
time.
be a depot in the mid area, like you have one for Pepper Farm, you have one for cookies, you have one for bread. Most companies have one up here, mid, and down the shore. So we have one here and down the shore.
That's a whole separate conversation.
Well,
Get it back. Listen,
but that has all to do with the consignment because we can't afford to put any extra on our truck. I mean, when I open my door on Friday, there it is.
Yeah. So there's a couple different things you can think about there, right? So one is, we can talk about it, and if we think there's an opportunity to do that, and there's a handful of IDPs, we can talk about an opportunity. The other thing you could do is, you can keep products in your garage. You can do.
I can only fit so much in my truck though.
Yeah, I understand.
I fill the truck from the back.
Every single time you come here.
Like today, I would have maybe a little less, but I tried to take extra, like, I know when my buy-ins are gonna be, or what I'm gonna try to bring back today,
Yeah.
because Friday, I'm usually all the way.
And you're saying it's an hour ride?
It's an hour ride to my route, and there's a lot of people, there are at least 40 minutes, I mean, there's a lot of people around me,
Yeah.
and it's a long way.
Right, this warehouse
This is
is really only
ridiculous.
conducive for, what would you say,
Half the
8
depot,
people?
half the depot.
7
Yeah.
people?
I'd go with, say even half, but
Yeah.
half of us, this is ridiculous. And that's not even trying to get home. Home, it takes about an hour and a half sometimes. I mean, you better get on the road by 4 o'clock or you're done.
And that's a separate conversation, we can think about that.
Yeah, we could talk about the route numbers that are impacted, and we can work with the zone team and the supply chain team, see if there's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's just a rough area.
I mean, if it's that many, you're literally saying 50%, you're saying conservatively 50, you're saying maybe even more, right?
Well, I'm just, you know, if you take the graphics, I mean, we're in Pennsylvania, so that's not our, nobody goes to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, you're 25 minutes out of Pennsylvania.
You're saying you're closer to Pennsylvania? Where do you?
It's 25 minutes.
No, this branch.
This branch right here is 25 minutes, I could be in Pennsylvania, but it takes me an hour to get to my route.
He's saying it's not central.
I got you.
Well, it's not, yeah, I think it might have been made because when you, whoever was in charge, maybe this is supposed to, you know, his area. or whatever. It's not central, it's not even close. It's good for some guys, but it's bad for a lot of guys. Yeah, that's why.
I mean, over the years, I'm sure,
That's why he's sitting over there.
as splits and stuff
I
happen, I
can
mean,
do anything. Rats were rats. What's they got to do? Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Rats,
a
part of
good
Sayreville,
thought.
North Brunswick, that's how far we go. Sayreville, North Brunswick, I don't know, you don't even know where it is. But you're almost going over the bridge, going down the shore. That's how far these routes, it's really a
I
long
think
way.
we could work to get the list of route numbers and maybe look to see, okay, centralized location, if there's something we can do. We'll look into it for sure.
But that's what I'm just saying, it's hard to,
Yeah.
it's hard to, I really can't afford to put things on my truck, so really, don't benefit me, and I don't wanna come up here another day, because that's another 25 hours.
need a bigger boat?
And another 3-4 hours off
So
my
what I'll
route.
tell you is two parts, so we'll go back and look at that. Okay, that's something to look at. Even with that being said, it still should benefit you in that the inventory that you're carrying, giving you a credit so that inventory isn't necessarily all coming out of your budget. Does that make sense?
Right, I mean, I think a lot of us, we have our last store, which is usually a big store, and we have.
That's not
We
true,
don't.
because you guys all
No,
say
you're,
that.
no,
I
it's good for
can't
some
dump in
people.
my last
Well,
one.
you can. I said some of us,
Yeah.
that's why I said some.
I'm all about the consignment, I've been pushing, and they know, because I own a Pepperidge Farm route for 9 years.
We all in on Pepper's Farm routes here.
Yeah, but you guys will see just the convenience that we're truly a mobile inventory.
Right, it
A
helps
truly a
people.
mobile
Sure, it
inventory,
helps.
which is an asset. There's no other mobile inventory out there.
No, it helps some
Yes.
people, and some people it has no effect.
Well, let me ask you something. If you think about going to full consignment inventory, how?
I used to be on
Yeah,
that, we were on that before.
But at some point, right, when you bought inventory, when you bought the route, you bought inventory to load your truck, right? And those dollars came out of your pocket.
No, actually, I bought inventory on Thursday, didn't have to pay for the following week. Most of it was off my truck. I actually, it was the other way around. Snyder Lance was holding the money. I had it out of my, I got paid already.
That's how it was before.
To answer your
No, that's how
question,
we all were. We all were that way.
Okay.
Sure was. Back, and I was only here 10 years.
That wasn't Snyder Latch.
And that's how it was.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
figure since you're gonna sit, yeah, don't.
Every company invests in inventory, correct?
What's that?
The way that I looked at it, I've only been doing this for 3 years. I feel every company invests in inventory. So
correct.
initially, I took $2,000 and
Bought
invested,
inventory.
into inventory. I was able to do it because I came out of something else. I understand not everybody's able to do that, but I'm just a fan of the consignment that you guys.
Oh, no, it's a lot of good things for it. And maybe if there was a depot down there or somewhere closer, where I could make that extra trip where it wouldn't take me, 4-hour trip. That would be good. I mean, there's so many times they
It
get
needs to be fixed, maybe.
hey, can you fill, did you bring 4 hutches? No, because it doesn't pay for me to drive the, hour and a half.
Too much of what they used to do.
Coming back, and everything, it doesn't pay.
Garage and stuff like that.
I have a question. I just want to, I have a couple questions that I want to ask. I just want to start from the beginning and then later on. So I'm very bad with names, so I want to see who I'm addressing for. But my big concern, I just bought my route, a month and a half ago. I paid $500,000 for my route. And what it worries me the most is when I'm about to sell my route right now. Who's gonna pay me $500,000 for a 15.5% commission?
You're talking about net margin versus gross margin?
Yes. But what I'm saying, I've been running routes for 15 years.
Yeah.
I know what is out there. 15.5% is the lower commission that anybody can have for any other route. That's what worried me the most, because, you know, I'm not talking about a couple $1,000s. I don't care about a weekly pay. I care most for the value of my route. When I paid the route, I was very happy, because Schneider was a very, in my opinion, it was a very good company to invest. But right now, I'm very scared. Because a month and a half later, you guys telling me that my commission is going to go below what I was making. So it really, I shouldn't, if you tell me this a month and a half ago, I'll walk away. Because it really, from my point of view, this is my retirement plan. This is how I see it. When I get old, that's how I'm going to get my money. Right? So it really worries me, because how I'm going to pay the bank if I don't get enough money?
Fully understand the uncertainty. So again, here's what I'm going to tell you, is that you're talking about 15, whatever it was, you're talking about net margin versus where you were gross margin. Gross margin didn't scare you, yet all the costs weren't baked in. Now the costs are baked in, you're looking at a net margin, and it's scaring you. The reality of it is that it's not really different. It's there's very little difference, if any difference, okay, between that. What I'm going to tell you is that go run your route 4 to 6 weeks after this changes and compare your penny profit. And what I'm going to tell you is when you go to sell a route, typically what you're talking about are 3 different things. You're going to talk about the revenue on the route, so you're going to talk about your equity. You're going to talk about the multiple for the BU that you're pulling out of, the area that you're pulling out of, and you're going to talk about your penny profit. And so what I'm going to tell you is compare all 3 of those. And
Well, it's harder to sell at 30 to 1.
Yep.
When the guy next to you is getting 60%.
Correct.
And everybody else is getting 14
That's the biggest
or 15,
concern, isn't it?
25. Right. That's not a level playing field.
Because
It's not.
If you go out to a house, let's say, they get commission 19%, no, it's our referral. And other company, 19, 18. So when we put out the prospective buyer, it's going to say, you know, why I want to pay $500,000 for a commission that you do 15.5? So, I mean, I'm responsible for that money.
Here's what I'm going to tell you again, is that you don't take that percentage to the bank, you take penny profit to the bank. Focus on the penny profit, put it side by side. Run the route 4 to 6 weeks, put your penny profit side by side.
Yeah, but
I think the
I disagree with you.
how could you if the guy
There is
next to you is getting 16%?
Is that it depends, you're not always competing against the guy next to you, first of all. And the route average might be different. There's all different things that you have to weigh.
That's the only thing that should differentiate us.
The
is
geography,
the volume.
yep, that's exactly right.
But our
So,
margin should be the same.
well, it can't be the same because the mix is different.
I did the calculation. I added the name stars and also the promotion. I added together from last year for Tim. He sent me an email with how much he sold. And literally, I'm losing $4,000 in payment. And I have the number here. I can show it to you. If I add the promotion in the next sales, I will lose that money. Another thing about the promotion, let's say if we have any item on sale for, let's say, 3 weeks. Now you guys have the control for that promotion. Let's say we're going to put it just for 1 week, so we lose that. We don't have that kind of control. You understand what I'm saying? This is about what I see. I really disagree with the entire thing. My question is, do I have to get this? Is it something that I have to sign in, or is it an option?
The only thing you have to sign is the deferment for the bridge for consignment inventory.
So this is gonna happen no matter what.
Now you're telling me, I bought the route a month and a half ago.
No matter
Now
what.
you're telling me that my commission is going to get cut.
Here's what I'm going to tell you is that over the years, margin has changed many times. but it's always changed in pockets. Margin has changed in many times. It's changed on private label, right? Because Apple changed their margin to us, right, as an example, or any other private label. It's changed on partner brands because partner brands have changed margin. So margin has changed multiple times throughout the years. What this does, though, is now it locks it in that it's not going to change. Now, regardless of what partner brands do, regardless of what happens with private label, regardless of what happens on promo share.
Who says it's not gonna change? You changed it on us already.
Yeah, but
I mean, we lose the purpose.
Is it fixed? That's my question. Is it
that's what I'm
fixed?
telling you. Yeah, this is.
For how long?
There's nothing I can't
Exactly.
say.
You
I can
can't
tell you
tell.
that there's no plans to change again. We wanted
No
to get to
plans.
one. We wanted to get to one set rate.
Okay.
And when you talk about selling a route, if you're at one set rate, it's a lot easier to sell a route at one set rate when you can say this is established. The reality of it is that it really wasn't established before. It was you had a gross margin, but none of those expenses were factored into that.
But there's nothing stopping you from turning around in a year and lowering another 2%, is what you're saying?
From a contractual standpoint, yeah, but there's no plans to do anything like
Well,
that.
there was no plans for this either.
Right.
10 years, we were Snyder Land,
Yep.
Campbell's,
Yep.
and if it wasn't for some of the businesses, Can't Soup and everything, we'd have been Kraft now.
I can tell you what bothers
So,
me
you know, we have
is
to look at the future, and you might not be here in 6 months.
you're having a fixed rate upon variables that are not controlled, like partner brands. They're not controlled. What's to stop Fire Booty from going away? Then, great, I'm partner brand heavy right now, but something like that goes away. What if Campbell's has a, structural change and says, well, you know what, we're getting out of the partner brand business. Now I'm locking
I
in.
promise you that's not
Don't
happening.
promise me anything, so don't do that
Well, I can't promise you that. We're not getting out of partner brand business.
until it happens.
No, as a matter of fact, if anything, we're going to be going the other direction. You're going to
Okay.
see some partner brands coming in. if anything.
Okay.
Okay? Now, we can't control if a partner brand leaves, right? So we can't control that, but what we can control is we go out and switch over to partner brands.
And then the variable changes, because you could lose a huge partner brand like Popcorners or Fire Booty, and you come back with something that doesn't make the same, now the variable changes.
Partner brands we can't control as they come and go.
Correct, so how do you put
I
it
can
in
tell you
your
that we're not getting
percentage?
out of the partner brand business.
How do you put it in your percentage if it's not controllable? That's my question. It's not controllable. You said it yourself, it's not controllable who stays and who goes.
Yeah, so the blend, and I'm not going to get into anybody's specific route, but I can tell you the blend on a given, just across the board, that's based on the mix of those brands and how they felt in an individual route. And that's been over a 52-week period.
And then the money that Campbell's is making off of every single route, which is probably on average, 4%? Because now we're going from 19% down to, 15 or whatever.
You're talking about net margin versus gross margin.
But
Two different numbers.
Campbell's is still making that 4%, correct? They're still making a margin.
How do you
Because
say that?
every product I sell now that says Snyder's on it, I used to make 19%, now I'm making 15%. So where's that 4% going?
How about the lean in back though? Again, it's a blended margin. How about the lean in back where maybe you were?
I'm not talking about the blended margin, I'm talking about Campbell's. And
Yeah, we're not taking 4% back.
what are you taking? Where's it going?
It's blended out, so that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, so
And
where is
listen,
it?
I'll have a conversation with you as a sidebar on your specific route when we come out of this room. But I can tell you, no, there's no 4% back.
No,
There's absolutely not.
Then promo.
Yeah, that's
Oh, it's in the
correct.
promo, so okay, that's what you're saying. So that's where it's going. That's what the cost of business is, it's going
It's
to the
already been there
promo.
though. It's already been there.
It was in the,
We didn't get
it was
paid
in
for
the
promos,
net.
they took the promo.
Well, I understand that. I understand that we had to pay into promos.
Yep.
I just don't think the numbers balance out, but okay.
Yeah, and we can, again, I'm happy to have a sidebar conversation with you about your specific.
And what's the guarantee for promos then? I mean, you said, okay, we go 2 for 3, but let's say you're not gonna do that, you're gonna go 2 for 7 all the time, so 2 for 7.
Yeah, what I can tell you is we're not divesting in the brands. We're
Okay.
investing in brands.
I can tell you, a lot of us are feeling our routes are devalued, that's the overall.
And I can understand the
And it's
uncertainty, I
deceptive.
fully understand the uncertainty. I'm hoping that the conversation we're having now, talking about gross margin against the net margin on gross sales and all those things, are giving you a better understanding of how that's not the case.
We should have happened before Thursday night email.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was handled terribly.
Okay.
You can't disagree with that. And that's why we're all here. That's why we're
Fair enough, fair enough. So, and that is why we're here. So again, let's talk about it. But what I can tell you is at the end of the day, I want you to go back and I want you to get penny profit. The proof will be in the pudding, and that's the expectation. And then you also have to understand there's a huge investment that we're making to get to a consignment inventory. The consignment inventory doesn't benefit us, it benefits you, right? So at the end of the day, it's a huge expense for us to put that out.
So are you charging us basically to do that then? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that's a lean-in. I'm saying that's a lean-in from us. I'm not saying we're charging you. But I'm saying that there's a huge investment there for us. Yes.
Where are we going with pricing? Are we taking price, taking increase?
There's nothing on the plan,
On
nothing on
that-
the books right now.
none on lines.
No. I can tell you there's nothing set right now.
Will it be an amendment to our contracts at all, or we just kind of leave it the way the current contracts are standing? So this is a major change, I would say, correct? Is there any kind of amendment going into our contracts?
For what, consignment you're saying, or
No,
right
for
now?
the variable rates.
No.
Shaking.
Why were some guys, like I was down 0.3, other guys 0.9? Like, where did they come up with these numbers? Just random matter. I mean, you know what I mean? Like how come I went down a point and a third, and other guys went down a point?
And I have to sit down and have a conversation with you one-on-one for that.
But where did they had to have some kind of formula?
Yeah, so there's a formula. It's based on promo share. It's based on that market, and there were some. What I can tell you is there were some margins that were in different pockets. There were some gross margins that were different, and so there was an alignment on. There had to be an alignment on gross margins as well. But I have to go and sit down with you one-on-one. I'm not going to have that conversation.
Will there be a possibility in everybody getting the same rate?
No, there's not.
Because some people have, for instance, shop rights, and some people have the Stop and Shops.
Yeah.
And if the person in the Stop and Shop has a couple of shop rights opening up, we're all going to be bringing the same product in, but this guy will be getting, 16, 17%. This other guy will get 15%. Bringing the same product in the same
No
store.
route is.
And things
the
change.
dynamics are different on every.
What
store.
affects it? Having a Stop and Shop, having Quick Checks, what affects
Yeah,
it? What affects
the
it?
promo.
Heavy stores.
So I can give you an example of, we have certain retailers where the trade rate spend is 30%. We have some retailers where the trade rate spend is 6%. And so that's what the dynamics are, and that's what.
So then how come Pepperidge Farm isn't changing their percentages?
Totally different model in that it's totally different cost of goods, totally different model, totally different promo
Different
trade
contract.
spend. It's all different, that's totally different.
Yeah, they have their own unique.
Yeah, and we're not gonna, I'm not gonna dive into that, but I'm just gonna tell you from a high level, it's a totally different model, totally unique.
So what happens if we, so just say we're selling stores, we get new stores, is our rate gonna change?
It's not. The expectation
But
is
what happens if your promo's less or more from?
yeah, and so if it's more, what I'm gonna tell you is that that's a balance for you to make a decision on whether or not you wanna purchase or sell or whatever, or the other person. I can tell you that if it's a high trade rate account, then you've already been protected by your margin that you're locked into right now. From a net standpoint.
So we would need to know what's.
Where in the past, if you bought that, yeah, you would wanna know that.
If it's a heavily promoted store.
What I can tell you is, in the past, if you would have done that, you would have all of a sudden inherited all of that trade share, right? So all the promo share you would have inherited with the account. Now you're locked.
How do you come with the, like right now, our cost for what we build a store is 19%. How do you change the margin? How's the margin going to be changed and how we get paid? Like right now, our bills are set up for our cost of the store. When we buy it from the cost of 19%,
Yeah.
you're going to charge us more out of the warehouse? You're going to charge us different out of the warehouse? How do you?
No,
How's
I'm
that
changing
going
more out of the warehouse.
How's going to? How you do it?
You're saying from a margin standpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to do with your settlement calculations. So it is technically changing because it'll come back on your settlement credit. Yeah, and when we step outside, if you show me a copy of your settlement, I'll
Yeah, I
show
got
you.
one right here. 'Cause
So
I'm
let's
figuring
do
out
that
what
in
the
your
cost
setting,
is.
but yeah, I'll be able to.
So if we pull a product for cash again, we're probably paying more out of the warehouse. And then make
No.
more at that.
So, the other question that I have, so you bring the inventory that we can have and the promo. That's why you're giving us these two things that are giving us, and then another was to lower the commission, right? what my concern is, if I don't want to have that inventory, if I want to keep the numbers that I purchased from the beginning, what can I do? Because I want to have what is promised me. When I bought the route for, I want to have that. I don't want any inventory. I don't want to take off the promotion because
The margin piece is, that is not, that's happening. Yeah.
So
The inventory piece is the benefit.
yeah, but I really don't use that. I use all the stuff that are from the store. Every week
You don't have to take inventory.
I understand. Yeah, I understand where it's all the
Eventually,
inventory. I can keep it for 1 month and my truck, and I don't get charged for it. But my concern about the commission rate is too low.
So let's you and I have a conversation afterwards. Let's have a sidebar. We'll have one-on-one.
That's what it is.
Go through your
Yeah,
conversation.
that's Bill, I'm trying to figure out what you're saying. and
Let's
it's
do
not
that.
com- it's not
What I'm not going to talk about specific route information in a group, so we'll talk about, we can definitely do that right after the meeting. Happy to do that.
But, know that in advertising a route for sale, locked into the ratio is also the commission rate. Okay, we're at 30-1 currently, so that commission rate is definitely going to affect
And that's
that
where,
30-1.
so what I would ask you to do is make sure that you go through and understand, and if you don't, we can help you to understand it. Make sure you understand the difference between the gross margin and net margin, because again, you're talking about two different things, and you can talk about, all the variables that would have went in there in the past.
Okay.
And then from a marketing standpoint, your question is, hey, listen, going to consignment inventory is a great marketing opportunity if you're looking to sell your route. I would absolutely have that conversation and say, hey, listen, in 50 weeks or whatever it may be, going to consignment inventory, that's a huge marketing piece. So, that's a big deal.
Because when you look at the standards, you've got Brad at 18, this at 7, you've got hers at 14.
They don't own the route.
I know,
So it don't
but that's the
matter.
whole thing.
Most
They don't even own the
everybody's
route.
18, 19, and 20, and 24 for Martin's, but they're all,
Hmm.
you have to own your route for it to matter.
When they came up with everybody's 52 week, I mean, none of us saw it, numbers weren't in front, to me, that was kind of dishonest. I mean, I want to see, if you're telling me what it is, show it to me in black and white.
Here's what I will do. So I can show you how to calculate that based on all the information you have, and all your data. I can show you how to calculate that. And again, we can have that conversation.
Was it based on 52 weeks?
Yeah.
I think everybody would like to know that, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's more than fair.
Can we do it right now? We have a board, you can show it to us real quick?
Yep.
One thing I did, I ran through my promo, you deemed that you've been exceptionally heavy promo this year. So I ran my promo versus last year, and in 7 months, I'm only 30,000 off of my whole year last year. By making our promo higher, that's making our number lower. So by you guys over promoing, saying, you made our numbers are 15.5 and 15 lower. Just like when Snyder's wanted to buy our route for the first 4 months, our sales kept on getting canceled. The ShopRite messed up on me.
Yep.
So they did that, quite the opposite of what you guys are
Yeah,
doing.
so first and foremost, what I'll tell you is that the account managers are running the events, they're running all that.
Yeah, but it's so over
But
what we did last year or the year before.
So what does that tell you the trend is?
That don't tell me that. Snyder's the trend, and then when after they put Russ back, we went back to normal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dishonesty too.
Here's what I can tell you. So across holistically, there's absolutely no decline in the trade budget this year. Absolutely not. If anything, it's going the opposite.
But again, I say, we look into the future, or guys look into the future, if you're not here, like I said, well, it would have been sold back a while ago.
Yeah, but you
I
gotta-
mean, if you make it look good, somebody could buy it.
Look at the Campbell Snacks organization as a whole and the restructuring we just went through, and everything our CEO has commented is about fueling growth in snacking
I understand that,
specifically,
but that also makes it look good for another company to buy it.
I can tell
I don't
you-
think we would have gone through all that.
Right.
Why? I think if like the V8, the soup and that one investment you lost the shirt on wasn't there, I think.
Yeah, but our P&L right now is very clean, that's the benefit, right?
Well,
So
you
we got rid of all
you
the-
sold that one
Yeah,
business.
so our P&L right now is set up for investment, right? The idea is that we are going to grow this. So I would
But you don't
disagree
think,
with that.
so what stops someone from buying it?
Well, you could always purchase, but I'm saying we're not set up for purchase right now. I would say
No,
we're
but
set up
that's
for.
not how to take over to take over.
Investments that are taking place right now are set up for long-term.
It's long-term growth.
Yeah, hopefully, as long as nobody buys you.
Yeah,
I mean, you
everything's
bought
for
tomorrow.
sale technically.
I mean, everything, you're on the stock market, you're for sale.
Yeah.
That's correct.
But at the same time, I would say if you look at the structure and all the changes that were made, it's not set up to selling a company, it's set up to growing.
To grow a company,
Yeah,
but then again, it does look good for maybe someone else to buy.
yeah, but then it would be at a premium, right? Like if you were to grow the organization to a certain point.
Well, everybody thinks they
now
can
you're at a
grow it
premium.
bigger. Everybody wants to invent the wheel.
I would say that right now, I think the company's in a healthy position.
I think it is, but that's why we're looking at, we don't want to lose on this. I mean,
Well, and that's where I'm saying.
he's
that-
saying that we'll sit down with the numbers, and I want to sit down, because I'm trying to do it, and I'm not coming where you come, so.
But again, top line is what we're talking about, right? So if your net margin comes down, now it's going directly against top line.
Right.
The organization's set up to grow top line. So that's going to help grow the equity of your business overall, right? So we're going to grow top line, that margin's going to hit every dollar of top line that grows. The investment in the brands, right, as we've looked at the brand portfolio.
No, I understand, all that sounds good, but I want to see it.
Yeah, well, that's what, I
When
think
we
that's what
run it
Ray's
out,
getting at. Give it some
I'm
time.
trying to figure it out, and I'm not coming up with you coming
Well,
up.
there's 22 of us here, and I think we all want to see it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, I think we all want to see how they got.
Oh, Yeah, listen, let me give it to you in a nutshell.
I agree.
So if you want to take a look at how to calculate your net margin, right?
So we got numbers here, why, and what I got paid one.
No, I'm absolutely not going to pull up a specific route. I'm just going to give you the dynamics
Why
on
not?
how to.
Why not?
Why not? Because then you can show me exactly.
I can do that, I'll do it with you one-on-one. But I
Okay,
can tell you
that's
from
what I
a legal
wanted.
standpoint, I cannot talk about your routing.
Okay.
So I went.
Right, I want to do what I want, because I'm trying to figure it out. and I
I have a
can't.
question on the side. Justin, Jerry, I have a quick question. Why would a company want you to push the Snyder's brand? By doing this, wouldn't that hurt the Snyder's product as a company point? In other words, you're gonna go out and do the same thing, say 16.5%, 17 or 15, whatever people get. Now you're not gonna push the Cape Cod, maybe the Snyder's, you're gonna push, say, Pirate Booty, just to say. Wouldn't you wanna build your own company up unless you plan on getting rid of all those partner brands in a year, and then you're gonna get in trouble?
No, and to Ray's point, right?
But why don't you now build your own company up, the Snyder's brand? You gotta make more profit with Snyder's than you would do with Pirate Booty.
I don't think there's any less propensity to grow our core equity brands, right? If there's anything that right now, though, again, our structure and the organizational changes we just made, the brand power that we're putting in place to grow those brands is going to be there, right? It's all about driving that equity brand. But we understand the importance of partnership brands at the same time. And Kyle Jordan and his team, we've actually invested in a full team dedicated toward growing partner brands. And we understand the value that it has overall. But if you look at where we're investing from a corporate perspective, we're investing in growing our equity brands as well.
So if I have a space in the store, and I'll put maybe Pirate Booty in there instead of maybe something else, or something, the same percentage.
So let me ask you this, so let me flip it to you. What I'll tell you is that, yeah, from a decision standpoint, we could have changed the weight on partner brands versus branded. But to streamline and come up with one set number, this is what we had to do. What I'll tell you as business people, right, as owning your own business and being, having to look at your own financials, it benefits you, right, to make sure that you weight a little bit heavier on branded, because that's where your equity is going to come from, right? And that's what you can build, that's what's guaranteed. Those branded products are always guaranteed, right? To your point, right, our brands can come and go. We can't control that, you can't control that. You want to drive branded. But oh, by the way, if I have an opportunity from a cash flow standpoint to go drive a partner brand because it's promoted heavier, or because a retailer says, hey, listen, I got an opportunity for you, you're not going to make any less by doing that. Long-term growth, you want to continue to push branded though, because that's where your equity is going to come from. That's your guaranteed equity.
Right, but the equity's going down now, you're gonna get less percentage on the Snyder and Cape Cod brands, and more on partner. I don't have much of partner brands like we spoke before. But you wouldn't want to.
You don't want gross margin versus net
Yeah,
margin.
but you still.
As we grow top line of those equity brands, you're gonna get paid on that.
like the partner brands disappear, like if I do popcorn, if they disappear and they bring something else in, and it's not sellable, you're in trouble. My income's gonna go down.
Well, I mean, I would assume that before bringing a partner brand in, the evaluation is in, right? The growth trends are all applied to it. But again, to Ray's point, I think we're going to grow equity brands. And as a business owner who has equity in those brands and that's guaranteed, that's where I would focus, especially if you had the opportunity to focus on that.
You guys, does the company won't profit on their own brand or partner brands? Silly question.
Yeah.
Their own brand.
Of course.
Right. Does it make sense to me?
From an equity standpoint, what's more beneficial to you though, branded?
Brand,
Of course.
because we want to sell the rest.
That's right.
You'll say, I'm making,
I don't have the history.
I get, whatever, 19%.
They said it was against like
20%.
Still in the stores, but that's just.
You don't get no
money
19%.
now. Big loss.
Yeah, there's a huge.
You don't get no 19%.
I just feel that routes are devalued now.
Whatever
All
they
routes are
make.
devalued. That's the way I feel.
You probably-
Everything is devalued.
That's ridiculous. Chi-Chi's. Let not, if they said it was fighting against Lake July, well, what size is it? So what the hell's the difference? I mean,
I can tell you that we didn't make a decision to give Chi-Chi's up.
Okay, they said that. This is what was told to us.
We absolutely did not make a decision to give Chi-Chi's
Okay.
up. So no.
So come September 8th, when everyone gets that settlement, that's not gonna count toward our purchases, correct?
That
Like,
is
that's
going
gonna
to be
stay
a-
there,
that's-
whether we use it or not?
That's correct. My advice to you is use it.
I understand, so now my point is this,
It's
so
gonna be
then
a credit to
September
your
8th,
settlement.
we're gonna start at 0. So now sometimes these guys in here, sometimes some people don't get a weekly check. Starting September 8th, we're all gonna get a weekly settlement now?
You get a one-time credit, which you can roll that inventory. So just like, as an example, if you came into...
Right, now that's the credit, but I'm saying that once that starts, and we start our sales versus our purchases,
Yeah, you're gonna get that incremental,
That's gonna be
incremental
every
credit
week.
every week as long as you roll inventory. That's correct,
and
yes.
so no one's gonna have obviously, they're not gonna have.
We're not gonna come back asking you for that money in 2 weeks. Is that what you're asking? No, the answer is no.
Right.
So the only time that we're gonna come back and we're gonna come back looking for an inventory is what we hope, right? Is gonna be at the end of the year when we roll into full consignment inventory, and we change that SAP piece and we change the full consignment inventory. That's when we'll look for the inventory. If the inventory's not there, then you would owe that to us. The expectation is you just continue to roll
So
inventory.
as
We'll
of
take the
September
inventory
8th,
back.
everyone's gonna get a weekly settlement then?
That's
It's gonna be based, well, because sometimes right now, depending on your purchases, obviously with the deferment, some weeks you don't get a check if you bought
So
some.
what I can tell you is that based on whatever your terms are, and there's some different terms,
Mine was 5,000.
nothing's going to change as far as that goes.
Mine was 5,000 because I only load twice a week, like Ben said,
Yeah.
I'm far away.
Yep.
I only load twice a week, so my pulls are big.
Yep.
So my average was high.
Yes, correct.
So,
That's exactly right.
all right.
I'm sorry, can we go back of the value of the routes? Because I'm really not getting it. It's really tiring.
Okay.
You know what?
I know, look, I know I'm kind of hard to understand things, but I'm kind of slow to learn.
So let me ask you this, because I think we gotta go a little bit deeper on your route. So let's catch up right after the meeting. You
Like I
know?
said, we'll figure it out on this, and then you'll get it. The problem is, we may understand the format and everything, we say might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Buyers have no clue, like,
Yeah.
they're purchasing it, they're like, oh, don't even know how to buy purchase it, because it's something new and no one understands it. You explain it to us,
Yeah.
that does no good trying to sell it.
Fully understand. And the one thing that we're gonna work to do here, we're gonna work to get you some talking points on that. So again, I'll explain it to you, from a high level. I'll just kind of go through how you would work it out, but we're working to get you some talking points so you can actually look through it and kind of figure it out, right, on your own. But in a nutshell, you would take your gross margin, so that's where you were at a gross margin standpoint, okay? You would calculate that times your revenue, and then you would take out of there, all the individual changes, right? So if you took a look at your gross margin on branded products, on Snyder's Lance branded products would be X. Then you would take partner brands, all the individual partner brands, because you have a sheet that shows you what all of those are worth, right? Some are gonna be 16%, some are gonna be 18%, some are gonna be 15%. And then you would take private label, which could end up being 10%. All those different factors, you gotta take your total revenue, okay, multiply that by your margin, and come up with a net profit, right, on each of those. then you would calculate all of those, take that net profit, and multiply that back into whatever your gross
So
is.
that's what you guys did, or
That's what we did. That's what I'm telling you, that's how you do that on your own, to come up with yours.
Well, we would have
and
to
you-
know what the margin on every product is.
You should have that.
No, we don't. I don't think anybody.
You don't know what your margin is on each brand?
Not the new, we know.
No,
You're talking about the old. or
so the new is one, that's coming off of what
Well,
the
that's
old
what I'm
was.
saying, the old.
You just need to be able to
They're
look.
all pretty much the same. Except, everything's major promise, they got us.
And then on top of that, then you want to take your promo
Length
share
of line is
and
another one.
subtract. And that was one piece of miss, you want to subtract promo share out of that before you multiply it into your gross.
There's a promo share.
I fell down, you know. Sounds like algebra.
Promo share on your branded products. Yep.
It's confusing.
So is it safe to say we're gonna have a
Take the promo share,
meeting?
which is on your settlement statement.
What?
Stop right now, promo share?
Yes. Absolutely.
Can you just show us how to do the number? I'm still baffled. I want to know how you got up the number, the percentage of.
Yeah, so you would take your gross sales, right? So whatever your total route volume is. Okay. Then you would take out of that, you would break it down, right? So if you have Snyder Lance branded products, whatever your margin was on that, then you would figure out what that profit is. So you take your gross sales times that margin and put your profit to the right-hand side. Then you would take private label as an example, and you would multiply those gross sales times whatever that margin is, and there's your penny profit. All comes down to penny profit. You would do the same thing for partner brands, all the different margins for all the different partner brands, depending on how they were stacked. Figure out what your gross sales times your profit, or times your margin on that, right? And come up with your profit, again, penny profit. Then you would take, on the bottom line, you would add into that, you would take you would combine all that penny profit, then you would subtract out of that whatever your promo share was, okay? So you would subtract your promo share. Now you have a net dollar margin, right? So it's your total penny profit. You would multiply that back into your gross sales, and that'll give you your blended net margin. Does that make sense?
No.
What's on second?
So,
I run a route. That's what I do. I'm not, I'm still like.
so once you have that blended.
Do you have like a printout or something you can show us how you broke it down?
So we're working on
Well, I'm gonna work with it, and then we're working on that. So we do this.
What I'll do is, let's step aside and I'll kind of go through it with you again. But really, it's just about taking whatever your volume is, whatever your volume on each of those brands is, multiplying it by that margin percentage, your gross margin percentage. That gives you your penny profit. And it's a matter of getting to that total penny profit number, okay? Adding that all together, subtracting out your promo share, right? So subtracting that out of it, that gives you your blended net margin, which you would multiply back in.
Each individual product.
Each individual brand.
Brand, I mean, yeah.
Correct, yes.
Like Garden of Eden, Terra.
So here's what I'm gonna ask you. So you understand how confusing this is right now? I'm trying to figure this out. Think about every week when you run your route, you're not knowing how that's all gonna blend out, right? So depending on if you sell more of one particular partner brand or more private label, you don't know exactly how it's all gonna shake out until your settlement comes through. That's why it's so confusing. And imagine going and trying to sell a route and trying to explain that, right? Trying to explain how you're going to get to that net margin. What is your real margin? What's your net margin? It's pretty hard to explain how to get there. Now you have one set, streamlined rate. You know that regardless of what you sell, this is the number.
So you can sit here and say that each one of us are not going to lose a penny of money. We're either going to be stay the
I
same.
can never say that because I don't know what you're going to sell next week. I don't
No, if we do the exact same numbers, each person in here, the exact same numbers next week as we did last week, is our paycheck going to be the same if we
Here's what
exact stuff we sell
Here's what I'll
a
tell
carbon
you.
copy?
I can't promise you that, but what I can tell you is the proof's in the pudding. Go run your route in 4 to 6 weeks. Come back and tell me what it looks like.
So are we gonna have a meeting 4 to 6 weeks after this takes effect?
We'll have meetings once a quarter. Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, but
Once